You've clicked on this video and you want to learn how to do UI in Unreal Engine 5 as a complete beginner. You're in the right place here because in this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to make awesome UIs, and we're going to make this awesome level up screen where I'll show you guys how to make the banners, the text, the buttons, all the good stuff, and how to do all the coding and how to properly optimize your game in Unreal Engine 5 for UI. Okay, this tutorial is for complete beginners to UI. You should have a little bit of an understanding of Unreal Engine in general, blueprints and all that kind of stuff. That will not be covered in this video. This is just covering UI, okay? If you're new here, my name's Taken Grace. I do Unreal Engine tutorials just like this. So if you guys do want to become a better game dev, hit the subscribe button and join the community here, okay? If you have any issues in this video whatsoever, consider joining my Discord. I do have a help forum there. Where you guys can post your issue and then we can help solve it together with either myself or other people in the community there. But without further ado, let's level up your UI skills. All right, so we are getting started here. I'm going to choose the third person template and I will call this UI Beginner Tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to hit create. And while that's creating, I will make the project files available for Ko-fi members on my Ko-fi page if you guys want to check that out, or for YouTube members as well. So if you guys are having any difficulty at all and you want to just check out the project files, consider joining my Ko-fi page or becoming a YouTube member. All right, so we're inside the third person template here. Okay, so before we start making any UI, what we want to do is we want to make what's called a HUD blueprint class. So really important to remember is that when you are using our user interface, we do want to keep it separated from all of our major blueprints, specifically our player in our game. Because what a lot of people do is they will add their HUD inside their player character by creating a widget, and then now everything in the game, in order to access the HUD, it needs to access the player first before accessing the HUD, which creates a huge dependency between your player and a lot of stuff in the game, because there's a lot of stuff in your game that actually uses the UI. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to open up our content drawer by hitting Control Space. We're going to make a new folder. We're going to call it UI. Okay. Everything to do with your UI will go in this folder. That'll be your HUD class. That'll be all of your assets and all of the widgets that we're going to make as well. Okay. So we're going to right click and we're going to add a new blueprint class. And we're going to go down here to all classes and search for HUD. Okay. We're going to select HUD. And we're gonna select and start that here, and we'll just call it HUD class. Okay, so this is where we're going to create all of the widgets, add them to viewport, and manage all of the events in our game that have anything to do with our HUD class. Okay, this is a really powerful way to control all of the user interface stuff in your game. All of the widgets will be inside this class, so we'll just open it up here super quick. Okay, so it's just exactly like another blueprint, except the parent class is the HUD class, okay? You can create variables. We can create all of our widgets in here, and then all of our widgets can talk to each other in this blueprint, and we don't have to cast or create other ways to talk to the other widgets outside of this. And then if we, in any other blueprint, if we need to get our class, we just need to get actor of class and select the HUD class. Okay. Now we have a reference to our HUD and we can run events based off of that. Okay, so it's much better than casting to your player or getting a reference to your player in any other way and then accessing the HUD if that's where you've created your main master widget HUD there. Okay, one final thing we need to do here before we get started is we need to open up our content drawer again. We need to go to the third person folder and go to blueprints, and we need to find the third person game mode. Okay, we're gonna open that up. Okay, this defines all of the default things in our game. So our player, which is our default pawn class, and our default player controller class, and also our default HUD class. So right now this HUD is on the C++ default that comes with the template. We need to select our HUD class that we just made. So now that our default HUD that the game will be referencing is the HUD class, okay, that we made. Okay, so we're gonna hit compile and we're gonna go and now make our first widget here. So we're gonna open our content drawer, go to our UI folder. Okay, you can put all these in a separate folder. So we'll make a new folder and call it widgets. Open that up. Okay, so to make a widget, we need to go to user interface and go to widget blueprint. Okay, it'll bring this up and we're just gonna select user widget and we'll name it widget blueprint WB underscore level up. Okay, We're only going to make this widget today because I'm going to show you guys all the things that happen in here, and there's a good chunk of stuff in here that we can do that will give you a really good taste of what it's like to make a widget and give you enough knowledge to go on your own afterwards and make some. Okay, so let's open this up. Okay, I will start by going through the widget editor here just to give you guys a bit of a idea of what's in here. If you guys don't need this part of the tutorial, you can skip ahead. I've put lots of chapters down below so you guys can keep up with what we're doing, and you can skip ahead to that where we're actually going to start building the widget. Okay, but for all of you guys that are looking to level it up here, all right, so we're going to turn our attention up here. This is the palette. This is where all the things are that can go into a widget, okay? Most commonly, you're just gonna search up here for what you need, okay? But if you wanted to scroll through here and find all the stuff that you wanna do. All right, and then down here is our hierarchy. So our hierarchy will be basically our layers of the widget. So we're gonna build a bunch of stuff down here, and it goes from top to bottom is actually reverse. So the thing that's on the top, that's actually the bottom layer, and then the thing that's on the bottom is the top layer. So it's a bit reverse. Okay, details over here will populate once we actually get going on stuff, and I can show you some more stuff over there. Okay, up here we have fill screen, custom on screen, desired, and desired on screen. Okay, so we're going to stay on full screen, but what these do is if you are working on a widget that isn't necessarily going to be either taking up the entire screen or on your screen while you're playing or anything like that. So a really good example is a inventory slot. So that is not going to be taking up your entire screen. That's going to be a very small slot that you're going to be using inside usually a hotbar or an inventory page or something like that. Okay, so you're going to select desired on screen, and then that's going to show you what the widget's going to look like as on its own, basically. Okay, but right now we're going to be making a level up screen, so that's going to take up our whole screen, so we're going to stay on fill screen. Okay, so if anything looks super weird when you're making it, just try to cycle through these and see if you can get it to look desired on screen usually fixes that, okay? Screen size, so if you know you're making a game for a phone, for a laptop, or whatever, you can select the specific size right now. So I think right now we're on, 1280 by 720. So now we can select the screen size of, for example, 27-inch monitor, which is what I'm rocking here. So 2560 by 1440, which is the monitor I'm using, okay? Let's get started here. So let's come up to the search palette and let's type in a canvas panel. Okay, so CAN's enough to get that. We're going to drag the canvas panel right here on top of level up. Okay, what a canvas panel is, a canvas panel will add anchor points to your widget so that you can anchor certain things to your screen. Okay, you don't always need a canvas panel. So for the example I gave with the inventory slot, you would not use a canvas panel with that because you're not anchoring it to screen anywhere. You're going to be adding it to probably some sort of wrap box or something like that. So, but for this canvas panel, now we can basically control the layout of our widget. Okay. Okay. So now we'll just go ahead and add another thing here. So we're going to type in image, and we're going to add this image to our canvas panel. Okay, so let's name this widget by pushing F2, or this widget, pardon me, the image, and we'll call it BG to blur, because we're going to blur our background. Okay, all right, so now that we have added this image, you can see now that we have this little flower here. Okay, this flower is telling you where the anchor point currently sits with this image here. Okay, so if I zoom in here, you can see that it's in the top right, or pardon me, the top left corner of this image. Okay. So if we come up here to the details, this is slot canvas panel, meaning that the slot for this image is attached to the canvas panel, okay? So with that in mind, we can come to anchors, and now we can select any of the anchor points here on this canvas panel that we can attach this image to, okay? You can see down here it says hold shift to update the alignment to match and hold control to update the position to match, okay? So let's just select this top one here. And you can see by just selecting it, it's moved the flower over here to where we've selected that anchor point, but it has not moved our image over there. And you can see that it's offset it by 960 degrees on the X here. And that's just because we've clicked on it and it wants to maintain that particular position that we had it before. Okay, so we're gonna click on this and we're gonna hold down Control and click. And you'll see that that's moved it now over here, and it's put it exactly the same fashion that it was before, okay? If we want to center it, for example, we can do the same thing, but hold shift, and that will center this right into between that flower there, okay? The other way to do that is with alignment here. So you can see that this is 0.5. So that's what's telling it to be in the center here. So the corner is considered 0 and this corner here is considered 1. Okay, so we're putting it halfway between the two edges of this image. Okay, so if we wanted this to be dead center, you would put 0.5 and 0.5. Now it's dead center. For our image, what we're gonna do here is we're actually going to click on anchor. I'm gonna click this one. This one makes it the entire screen. Okay, you can see that we have these little kind of handles on the edge. That means that it's the entire screen. So we could, if you also click on these vertical ones, you can see that the flower kind of updates to have these particular different ones here, just to showcase that it's, you know, aligned that way. So, but we're gonna select this for the whole screen. But you will notice that the image is not over the entire screen. Okay, to fix that, what we're gonna do is offset left, and all of these have actual values in them. So we're telling it to offset by 910 pixels, right? Because it's trying to maintain that original area that we had before. So if we actually clear all these, if we select this, hit 0, and just hit tab until we zero all these out, you'll see that we now have filled the entire screen. Size to content, we're not gonna use on this particular image, but we are gonna use in this tutorial series. Okay, but this will size whatever this is to the content. This is really handy when you want a image size to be maintained based. If you exported an image, for example, that's 100 by 100 and you wanted to maintain that size, you could size to content. Okay, so that will work there. And Z order, what Z order is, we won't be using it in here, but you can use it when you create the widget. It'll ask you what the Z order is. And this is basically the layer in which Unreal Engine will draw the widget. So layer 0 is the bottom layer, and then if you want this to be on top, so for example, you have your main HUD on your game, and this level up thing comes up, we want it to be on Z order of 1, so it's on top of that main HUD, right? So, but we will do that not here, we'll do that in the HUD class, okay? All right, finally we have Appearance here. So these kind of two top ones here are gonna change based on what your widget is, but anything under accessibility is pretty much gonna remain the same. I'll cover those in just a second here, but for the image specifically, we have the brush. Okay, so we have all of these options for the brush, and the brush can be called in the graph over here. So if you go to the graph, this is the blueprint editor for the widget specifically. So I can right click, or pardon me, I can drag out of this BG to blur. Okay, so that's the obviously the thing we put in our widget. We can drag out of there, we can get brush. Okay, and if I split this struct, there's all of those options that I just highlighted in the previous designer here. Okay, so we can change all of these on the fly. We can set these when the widget's created. We can do all sorts of things, okay? All right, so we have the brush here. What we're gonna actually do is we are going to set this to be invisible, and then we're gonna add a blur on it. So it's basically gonna blur the background that's already existing in the game and not this particular image. It's kind of a little bit of a trick in a sense. Okay, but I'll explain the rest of these. So image size does not matter unless you're drawing as an image. If you're drawing as a box, a border, or a rounded box, this does nothing, okay? So just keep that in mind. We are drawing as an image, but the image size, again, doesn't matter because we are making this the entire size of the screen. So don't worry about image size in this particular instance. Okay, so we have color and opacity, and we have tint. You're not gonna use both of these at the same time, okay? So you'll see if I want the color and I want, you know, all red, for example, there's all red, okay? And if I clear this and I go to my tint and I make this all red, there it is. But you'll notice if I have tint and then I try to do color and opacity, it's gonna not work properly, okay? It's gonna change this into basically a hue, or pardon me, a brightness thing here. So we don't wanna deal with that. Generally try to use color and opacity where you can. So you'll click on there, and we can make this 0, this alpha of 0, so that it's invisible, okay? So you'll see here that this is the color that we currently have, and this will tell you the color that it's set as, and this is tell you basically the opacity of it, okay? So that's all we need to do here. Tiling is pretty self-explanatory. It's gonna tile either horizontally, like a repeated image, vertically, or both, okay? But obviously we're not gonna do that for this. Okay, all right, so let me explain all of these here, okay? Most of these are gonna be default pretty much like 98% of the time when you're making a widget here. Tooltip text, you'll see if you roll over this, tooltip text will show you, the user will hover over the widget with the mouse and it'll give them a little tip on what this widget does or what this particular thing is doing, okay? So that's what that's for. Is enabled just means that it can be modified by the user. Usually that just stays enabled. Okay. This one you're going to be doing quite a bit, or using quite a bit. Visibility. Okay. You'll see that there's 6 different options here. 5 different options. I can't count. Okay. So visible, the first one. Visible obviously means that it will be visible on screen, and it's expecting some sort of interaction with the mouse or with, you know, the controller or whatever the case may be. Okay, so visible is what you want to select when it can be interacted with the cursor or with the controller or whatever the case may be. Okay, so this is looking for specifically interactions. Okay, if you're not looking for interactions, so like for example a health bar, you're not interacting with a health bar, it's just giving you information. You're going to go not hit testable. Okay, whether you want to apply that to the children. So if I'm applying it to this particular canvas panel, for example, and I say self and all children, that means all the children in this canvas panel will also be hit, or not hit testable. Okay. You could also do self only, which is what this is also set as, because we want the children to potentially be hit testable, which in this case we will. Some of the buttons we're going to be doing. Okay. BG to blur, we'll just get back on that here. So render transform. You are generally not going to use these in this instance. You might use them a little bit just to offset a couple of things, but this is not the place to be setting the position of all of your widget items. Okay, you're going to be doing that up here in the slot canvas panel. Okay, this is more fine details, but this should not be your first place that you go to move some widgets around. Okay. Like, so for example here, if I'm just going to offset this by, 500, or sorry, not 500, 500 and, I'm just going to make something super quick here just to show you guys. So translation, right? This is going to move it right or left and up and down. And then the scale obviously will make it grow and expand and all that kind of stuff. And the shear will make it do that kind of stuff. Angle will rotate it, and then the pivot point will change where the pivot point is. So if I make this 0 and 0, it should rotate around that point, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna reset all these. So yeah, that's what those are for. Those are for more fine details, like I said. Any of the actual like hard positioning should be done up here in the slot, okay? Okay, so I've reset all those back to the way it was. Performance is volatile. This is supposed to be for if you're going to be changing the data constantly. We don't want to be caching any of that data. So like a good example actually of that would be like when you're shooting an enemy and you have like the numbers pop up of how much damage you're doing. Those are coming onto screen and going away so fast that you might want to make that volatile so it doesn't cache anything there and take up a bunch of extra memory. Okay. Rendering, clipping, and this is going to be inherited, so it's going to be inheriting anything from the user widget parent class. Okay, so that's what we want essentially. You will use render opacity, so this will be telling Unreal Engine what the opacity of the particular thing we have selected is. Okay, so right now it's on 1, which means it's fully visible. Okay, and when it's at 0, it's invisible. We're going to be using this later when we do our animations for our widgets to have it fade in and fade out. Okay. All right, so let's get going here, and as I'm sure you guys are itching to do that, that was just a really good explanation for all of that kind of stuff there. So we're going to get a blur, a background blur specifically. Okay, we're going to put that on the canvas panel, and there's one thing I want to show you guys here. If you roll over canvas panel, you'll see that it says many children. You can put as many different things from the palette on the canvas panel as you want. Okay, you'll notice that the background blur says single child. Okay, so only one thing from the palette can go onto the background blur, which is going to be our image. We're going to drag our image onto the background blur and make that a child of the background blur. You'll notice that the image says no children. Okay, so as you're building your widget, you need to keep that in mind. Not everything is going to be able to have a child like this. Okay, you can cheat the system a little bit. This can only take one child, but you can put something like, a horizontal box, which can take many children, and put that on the background blur. Now you can add as many children as you want to the horizontal box, but you're still only adding one child to the background blur. Okay, so as you're building your widget, definitely think about that kind of stuff. All right, and speaking of boxes, we're going to get a vertical box. Okay, and we're going to put that on the canvas panel. Okay, before I forget, because I am going to forget, we're going to get the background to blur. And we are going to size to content, because inside this background blur is the image. And when we do that, you'll see that nothing happens. And that's because we have to also anchor this to the center, because we just changed this image to be a child of this background blur, so that we actually removed the slot stuff that we had earlier. So you can see it says background slot is the background blur slot. So now this is the slot it's attached to, but now the background blur is a slot of the canvas panel. So that's why we had to redo that. And now we got to remove all of these offsets once again. Okay. The blur strength, I don't know, like 5, and you should see an effect right away here. It's going to blur the kind of grid there in the background. Okay. I actually don't think we need this image. So that was just a good little example of how to do stuff. Okay. All right. So let's grab this vertical box. And okay, so what this vertical box is, we're just going to call this the master box layout, you know, something like that. Okay. This vertical box is going to basically add stuff in sequential order. So for example, if I just add a bunch of text and I keep, you know, adding more text, I'll just keep duplicating it. You can see that it keeps adding it underneath each other. Okay. A horizontal box does the exact same thing, except in a horizontal fashion. Okay. But what we want in this vertical box is a border. Okay. And so the this border is going to be the border that is our level up. I'll repeatedly put the level up, like the final thing on screen so you guys can see what we're doing. This will be the blue level up kind of banner. Okay. So you can see if we roll over here, this says single child. So we can only have one child inside this border, but I want to have like the level up text. I want to have the old and new level, and I want to have those arrows that kind of are animating in that thing there. So that's more than one child. So in order to accomplish that, we're going to have to add a horizontal box. Okay. Right on there. Okay, so let's get this border looking like how we want here. Okay, so we're gonna have to go to slot here. Okay, let's go to the alignment, and we're gonna center it. Okay, center it horizontally and vertically. And after that, for the brush, see the brush color, we're gonna make that like bluish. Okay, so we'll hit okay. And we still can't see anything yet, and that's okay. The reason we can't see anything is because the master box layout needs to be anchored. So we are going to anchor it to the top middle. Okay. And I forgot to hit control. All right. And the size, that's why we're not seeing any sort of thing here, is because we didn't set the size in the size X and Y, but I actually want a size to content. Okay. So whatever the content is going to be inside this master layout here is going to be the size of that. So now we're going to come down here, and we're going to center the content as well. Okay, so the content inside our border is going to be centered. Okay, we'll remove the padding right now. We'll just put 0, and we'll adjust that later if we need it. Okay, so now we're going to go to brush. We're going to go to draw as a rounded box. Okay. Okay, and the outline settings, we'll get into that in a second when we can actually see our box, but we can't see anything right now because there's nothing in this horizontal box, right? We've told this to size to content. We've going off of what the border is, and the border doesn't have anything in it at the moment. So it's not going to be drawing anything in here. So in this horizontal box, we're going to want to put a couple text. So let's put text in here. Okay. Now you can see that it is drawing something now that there is something in there. Okay. We're only going to do one text block for now. We're going to do all of our editing of this text block in here, get it looking exactly like we want, and then we're just going to duplicate it, and that saves us a bunch of time. Okay, so let's just select the text, and we're going to name this text Level Up Text. Okay, over here, you can see that the slot is the horizontal box slot. We're going to want to center that both horizontally and vertically, and then we can put whatever we want in here for the text, so Level Up. Okay, color and opacity, I'm fine with white. Okay, so here under font, this is where you're going to control everything about the text. So the font family, if it's bold or not, what the size is. I think the size will make like 50. Any spacing between the letters if you want any. The skew amount, all that kind of stuff. Okay, if there's a material on the font. Okay, and then down here we have outline settings. I always add an outline because it just makes it look way better. So I'm going to add, what's 2, what's 4 look like? Maybe 3, something like that. Okay. All right, and then down here, justification. I want this to be centered, okay? So that's everything that I want to do with that. So you can see that the level up is a little bit kind of crunched. So to fix that, that'll be with some padding, which we'll get into in a little bit because we're going to add more stuff to this actual border. But I mean, we can drop down padding and add just some top and bottom stuff. So let's maybe do like, I don't know, 15. See what that looks like. Something like that. So we'll figure all that out after. Okay. All right. What we're going to do here is we are going to add some stuff. So providing some free assets for this course. Okay. So the link is in the description below. We'll have all of that stuff for this course here. Okay. So we're going to open up our content drawer and make a new folder in the UI called assets. Okay. Let's open that up. All right, so we'll drag all of those into assets here, and if you guys are interested in having some more of these, I have them available for coffee members and YouTube members as well, so consider that here. Okay, so we're going to select all of these first, and we're going to right-click and go to Asset Actions, Edit Selection and Property Matrix. This will edit all of the files. Okay, so you'll see the compression settings are all different, and the, where is it? The texture group is world, okay? So we want that to be UI, and we want the compression settings to be user interface 2Ds, okay? So we will go to, where are you? Level of detail, texture group should be UI, and compression settings should be user interface 2D, okay? Let's hit play. Let's hit save, and let's exit out of there. Okay, so let's add those arrows in here. So we're going to add an image to the horizontal box. We'll call this arrow. And so we're done with the level up here. I think we have everything we want there. So we can hit Control D to duplicate. And we're just going to move this on the other side of the arrow. And we'll call this next one old level. This will duplicate that once again, and we'll call this new level. Okay, and sorry, old level will actually go on this side of the arrow, pardon me. Okay, so for old level, let's just put in like 9, and then for new level, we'll just put 10. Okay, and generally for making the widget, you're going to want to make it like a debuggy kind of thing, so you want to kind of put like the max amount of stuff in, so like 99 or whatever, just to see what it looks like. And then if if you test it and it comes up as 99.99, then you know that there's an issue with transferring data between what you have in your game and what you have in your widget. Okay, so it's just good practice to do. Okay, the arrow, we're just going to set the image as the arrow that we imported. Where'd you go? There you are, right? Arrow. Okay. And the image size is 100 by something. Let's make this, well, we'll do 50 by 50 for now. And then we are going to, actually, I think we have it, yeah. So the horizontal alignment and vertical alignment we have as fill horizontally and vertically. We actually just want to center this. That'll fix the sizing issue there. Okay. And yeah, we'll do 50 by 50 to start. We're going to duplicate this 2 more times. So 1 and 2. And let's make arrow 1 just a little bit bigger. Let's do 75 by 75. Let's do actually 60 by 60 because that's pretty big. Okay, arrow 2 we'll do 75 by 75. Okay, so we'll click off of that so we can see there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's everything that's going to be in our banner. But we want the banner to be the entire length of our screen. And we want to obviously edit the stuff in here just to make it look a bit better as well. So first off, let's click on the border, and we are going to have it fill horizontally. We are going to go back up to the master box layout, and we're going to uncheck size to content. Okay, we're now going to set the size to that. Okay, I was just showing you guys what that does. So we're going to make this whatever. I was about to point at my screen like a complete idiot. But anyways, down here, 25 by 60, that's the full length of our screen. So we're going to put 25 by 60, okay? Is this not, yeah, it is. That's odd. That's odd that it's that big. Anyways, I mean, maybe, what, 19, I put 1920, is that, yeah, okay, that's silly, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so now you'll notice that if we are doing this on the size Y to try to make it bigger, it's not working. That is because on our border, first of all, we have to fill vertically. Okay. Next, we're going to come up here to size and we're going to select fill. And now you'll see that that has now filled the entirety of our master box layout widget. Or pardon me, a layout, what do you call these? We'll call these layers. The master box layout layer. Okay, so now you can adjust the size how you like. So something like, 150 looks not too bad. Okay. We did draw it as a rounded box. If you want to control that rounded box on how rounded the corners are, you're going to click on your border, come down to Appearance, and you want to come down to where it says Outline. Okay, so the outline, the black color, it doesn't matter. Right now it's invisible, so that's fine. But if we wanted to add like an actual width to it, you can do like, 10 or whatever you wanted to add to it. I'm not going to add anything to it personally, so I'm going to keep that at 0. The rounding type. So how to mix bag on this. Generally, I choose fixed radius. That's going to turn it back into a box, and now you can control the corner radius right here. So you'll see that as I move this, it's moving the one corner, right? Okay, so I found that like 25 and 25 all across the board here is pretty good. I'm going to click on this, and if you click up here, it says enables or disables, shows the dashed outlines, or you can push G. Okay, that'll get rid of that, and you can have a nice look at what that's going to look like. That doesn't look too bad to me. I'm going to go with that. All right, so I want to move this vertical box down a bit so that it's not starting right at the top here unless that's what you're actually looking for. Okay, so I'm going to go down here to either position Y or position X. That will move this wherever you need to move it, basically. Or you can do it with alignment. But be careful with alignment, because what alignment is really supposed to be doing, it's supposed to be anchoring it to this anchor point. And if you get a little wonky, like, because I can put in like 5 here and that moves it, somewhere else. Okay, so that's moving it in relation to this point. Okay, where that's bad is as your screen size gets bigger, then it might start to look a little bit funkier or not what you designed on your screen, because your screen and whoever's playing your game, it might not be the same. So best to just use position X or Y. Okay, so we're gonna do position Y, and we're gonna move this guy down like, probably like here. Yeah, we'll do 200. Let's do 150 actually. So that is, in terms of the border, I think that looks really good. Let's add some padding in between all of these things here so it actually looks a bit better. Yeah, so level up, let's add some padding on the right of about, we'll say 20. Okay, and I think level up should be bigger as well. I think level up should be like 75. It should be like, you leveled up, buddy. Right? I do like 9 that size, but I'm going to make the color for 9 like gray, because we want that to be like, your old level was 9, and you're not doing that anymore. All right? And then I'm going to give a bit of padding on the right for that, for, I would say 20 as well, something like that. You know what? Let's do 5. Whoops, not that 5. Right. Let's do 10. That looks pretty good. It does look... I'm going to take the padding off of that for the top, because it just looks like it still even looks like, oh, didn't I? There we go. Okay, no padding on there just because it doesn't look very good, hey? Like, 10. Let's, first of all, let's change the size of 10 to like, 75 as well. Like, you're that level, and let's make the text color like, green-ish. Something like that. All right. Let's add some padding on the left of about, let's say 15, and that looks pretty good. Okay. I think the size of these, maybe we'll make this like 40. I want this just like a little bit smaller. That looks pretty good. It's like a good progression between our arrows there. Okay, so that was all design related stuff. If you guys want to do something else, that's up to you, but we're gonna move on to the next bit now. So this is all done for now. We're going to close that horizontal box, and we'll name this Level Up Box. All right, so next we're going to add another text to our master box layout, and we're going to call this, Level Up Text. Level Up. We already named something Level Up Text. Level Up Message, we'll call it. Okay, you can see that put it right underneath our Level Up here. So we're going to just do some text here, and we'll say, you leveled up and became more powerful. Okay. We're going to center that and center that just like that. And let's make it, a little bit bigger, maybe like 30. Okay. And, could have just copied and pasted that stuff, this text probably, so you didn't have to do all this again, like I said earlier, but outline settings. Yes, it's outline settings. There we go. Okay, I don't know why this was so hard to find. 3, And that looks pretty good. Okay, but you can see it's a little smushed up here. All you need to do is add some padding on the top there, and that will fix that issue. So let's do like 20. See, it's messing up our box there. Do these have top padding? They do. There we go. That was what the... Is that not what the issue? Yeah, top padding. There we go. Let's get rid of the top padding of 15. There we go. Okay. That was the issue there. So let's zero that out. The issue was the level up box, or sorry, the border under content had some padding in it, and that was screwing that up. So that's why that was looking stupid. So remove that padding, and then on the level up box, on like these individual items, level up and 10 specifically had some top padding. So I got rid of that, and that fixed it all. It looks nice now. I realized that because I have my camera in my way, of course, that this is actually a child of the border, and we don't want that. We want the master box widget. Okay. So we want the border and then the level up box as it's one thing, and then the master box layout should have this text on it. So now when we actually add stuff here, it doesn't look stupid. Okay, so we'll go to padding, and we'll just add some padding to the top. We'll do like, I don't know, 20, maybe 50. Why is that affecting the border so much? It shouldn't be. Let's change the backs from fill to auto, and that looks like that fixed that issue. So not sure what was going on there, but yeah, sometimes it does funky things, and you just got to kind of fool around with, like, usually it'll be positioning. I usually start from like the most parent widget, we'll call it, and we'll kind of work my way down until I find what the issue is. So we have the border here. The border's doing its thing. The level up stuff is a little bit off center. Specifically this and level up, actually. Is there any bottom padding? There is. Let's take that out. There we go. Look at that. That looks much better. Okay. You leveled up and became more powerful. So now we're going to add some buttons to this level up screen so that you can choose some sort of power up, theoretically. We're only doing this particular UI page. We're not going to be doing any of the actual systems that go with it. Okay. But, okay, so we are going to close all this up. We're going to get a button. Right here, button. And we're going to put that on the master box layout. There we go. Okay. So we have the button here. We're going to rename the button, we'll say attack up button. Okay, so the button looks like crap right now, so let's fix that here in a second. But so we're going to do horizontal alignment center and vertical alignment center. Okay, and then the padding we don't need to, well, actually, let's put some top padding on it of like 50, just get it out of the way there. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go to style. Okay, here you have normal, hovered, and pressed. So those are the three you're going to want to focus on. If at any point your button will be disabled, you'll focus on this one here, but generally you don't need to worry about that. Okay. Down here you have a pressed sound and a hovered sound. So this is where you're going to put in any sound effects for that specifically. So we'll just put those in now. So click on button Q. We'll select that one. For the press sound, for the hovered sound, I think there's just a click. I'm just going to select a random one, because this is just, yeah. So we'll do camera shutter, I guess. Okay, so let's go to normal first. Okay, we need to add, so this is the button size to content by default. Okay, so you can draw this as a rounded box, is what we're going to do there, okay? So the button, if you roll over, you'll see it says single child. So we're going to do that same trick that we did before and get a horizontal box. And we're going to put that on the button. And now we can add a couple things inside this horizontal box. Okay, so we're going to fill horizontally and vertically for this. And we'll put padding of like 5. If you do that, you'll notice that if you drop it down, it's 5 for everything. Okay, so that's just a little shortcut. In this horizontal box, we're going to add an image. And we're going to add text. Okay, the image will just say button image and button text. Okay, so you'll see that the button's kind of filled out a little bit now. And what we're going to do, we're going to take this horizontal box and, pardon me, not the horizontal, the button itself. And we've drawn it as a rounded box, but we don't have any of the, fun stuff there. So we're going to go to outline settings. We're going to select the outline as, I don't know, like, yeah, actually maybe that color, sure. a little bit of a gray. The width, we're gonna do, you can see that it's kind of got a little, let's just do like a width of like 5 or something like that. We'll do the fixed radius of 5, or sorry, 20, right? Something like that. So color and opacity in this case is not for the button itself, it's actually for the content. So you'll see that I'm changing the content inside while doing this. So this is in a situation where you're gonna wanna use tint. So I'm gonna make the button, you know, like this color, something like that, okay? All right, I'm gonna edit the stuff inside now. So the content, is there content padding in here? They're normal, I think. Yeah, okay. So normal padding, we're gonna do like, I don't know, 10, and that'll put padding inside for all of the content. I actually don't like the little boxy look. I would actually have it be more of like 30, like that, something like that, personally. Okay. Okay, so the button image, let's add some left and right padding of 10. That'll give it a bit of space between the text block. And then the text block, I'm going to give it some left and right padding of 10 as well. Okay, so it'll look like that. The text block, we're going to say attack up, or sorry, attach up plus 10%, we'll say. You know, whatever. It's up to you guys. Okay, and we could have dragged this in so we didn't have to redo all this work, but here we are. But let's go to the outline settings, outline size, we'll do 3. Yeah, there we go. The image, let's select the attack up that I gave you guys. And it's 100 by 100, let's make it 50 by 50. Okay, and let's make the tint like orange, you know, something like that. Okay. Let's make sure the justification is center, and let's make sure that this vertical alignment is centered as well. So just so it all looks, you know, pretty good. That's button number 1. So now we need to do the hovered and pressed. So what we need to do, instead of redoing all of the work that we've already done, we can right click right here, copy, and then we can paste. Okay. You can also hit shift and left mouse button, and that will paste as well. Okay. Now, this is all the same, so we need to go over into hovered and go to tint, and then just make this like a slightly different color to let us know that we've hovered over it. Okay, and then for pressed, probably make it like, you know, a bit of a blue instead, something like that. Okay, so if you ever wanted to test these out to see what the buttons look like, you can open your content drawer, you can go to UI, you can go to your widgets, and you can right-click the widget you're working on and go to preview. It's gonna bring this up, and you just gotta blah, 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 apply fix. There's what it looks like, and there's what our button looks like when we click on it. Okay, that is the pressed padding, which I totally ignored. What's happening? There we go. Down here, pressed padding, so we'll make that 10 as well, and that'll fix that little issue there. Okay, so once you're happy with your button, and you're gonna add more buttons, you can duplicate it. Duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. All right. So let's select this, and we'll just rename it to Defense Up Button. Okay, this one will be Speed Up Button, and this one will be Health Up Button. Okay, now we can click on all these now. So this is the Defense Up button, so we'll do Defense, DEF. Oh, I saw it, I just saw it, there it is. Defense Up. Make the image size 50 by 50 again, and we'll change the color to blue. Okay, and then this will say defense up 10%. Okay, this will be speeds. We'll do LEC for the electric symbol, and we'll make that 50 by 50, and we'll make the tint green, and we'll make this speed up, I don't know, 20%. Make something different there. Okay, and then this will be the HEE. That's the heat map. I almost selected that. There it is, health. And that'll be 50 by 50. And this will be a tint of red. And this will say max health up. We'll say, like, you know, 50 points. There we go. So you can see that the vertical box has now dictated how wide each one of these are, which is super cool. I'm going to show you how to make an exit button as well. Okay, so to do that, let's grab another button. Yeah, because we're going to be doing stuff from scratch here, so we can just add a new button here. Let's add it to the canvas panel. It's going to go up in the corner here. All right, so you can change the anchor point here for this, and we're going to do it here. Okay, so on this side here, okay, we are going to size to content for this. And the size won't matter, and all this stuff won't matter. I think we can just move the position X and Y just back a bit here. Whoops, I guess that's 50. Okay, minus 50 in the X, 50 in the Y. Something like that. Okay, let's click on that button. Under style, we're going to go to normal, and we're going to do a image. The image will be, we'll just type white underscore, and then we want the white X. Okay. Holy crap, it's so big. Yeah, it is. So let's make this 50 by 50. Let's make the tint red-ish. Maybe a little like off bit. Something like that. Okay. That's exactly what we want. Let's right click and let's copy, and then we'll paste it here. And then all we need to do is go to hovered. Maybe make this a bit more red for the hovered. And then for pressed, you can make the image size 45 by 45, making it slightly smaller, and then we can maybe make this a bit wider. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't too fast, but we're just kind of doing some rinse repeat stuff here. And so for the press sound, we can just do the same things. We can do this on button Q, and then we'll do collapsed Q for this one, because we're going to be closing the actual level up screen here. Okay, all right, so that is the design of our widget. So hopefully that helps you guys. What's coming up now, so don't go away just yet. We're going to be doing the animations to make this look a lot better, and then we're going to be doing the coding inside the graph, and then we're going to add it to our HUD class and ultimately onto screen here so we can see what our final product looks like. Alrighty, so let's get on with the animations here. Okay, so first of all, let's rename this to exit because we didn't do that. There we go. All right, so down here it says animations. We're going to click on that. Our animation timeline. We're going to click on plus animation, and we're going to rename this one fade in, or just fade, we'll call it. Pardon me. Okay, I'm going to click on fade. You're going to notice we just got this blue border all the way around our screen here. Okay, so now any changes that you make to your widget is going to be for the animation itself and not for the actual widget. Okay, so if you want to get rid of this blue border and edit your actual animation, you need to go to animations and you need to click off of fade. And then you see that just disappeared here. Okay. All right, so we want to add the elements that we want to animate. Okay, so in this case, we want to animate the entire widget because we're going to be fading it in and out. And this is just good just to make it look nice as it kind of fades in instead of it just like appearing, you know, violently. So we're going to go to add all name widgets, and we're going to go to all the way to the top, and we're going to go this. That is the entirety of this widget. Okay, we're going to go to this plus here, and we're going to add a track to this widget, and we're going to do render opacity, and we're going to do transform. Okay, so you'll see that that just automatically added keyframes at frame 0. Okay, we want it to fade in fairly quickly, so we're probably going to do only 0.25 seconds, and then we're going to add 2 keyframes by adding those right here. Okay, so in the details panel, literally anything in here, if I go to just the border, for example, anything in here that has this little diamond here can be manipulated inside the timeline in an animation. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Anything with a diamond in any of these things here could be animated / you know, changed. Okay, so we've added a timeline at the end here. Very important that you do that before you start editing stuff, because then you have the layout of exactly what you made already finalized. So that's what we want it to look like at the end. When it's fading in, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to open transform, open scale. We're going to make this 0. Okay, on both of them. And then the render opacity, we're also going to make 0. So it's going to start with an opacity of 0 and fade in very slowly like this. Okay, so if you play that full speed, so that's what it's going to look like. It's just going to fade in just like that. It looks super nice, okay? The next animation that we want to do is we're just going to open this up, click off of fade. We want to make a arrow flash animation. Okay, we want these arrows to flash saying, hey, you went from 9 to 10. Okay, you can select the arrows in the level up, where is it? It's in the border here, level up, there it is. Select the 3 arrows here. In our animations, now we can go arrow flash, add, and you can see these arrows are right here. You gotta add them individually here, just like this. Okay. There we go. So what we're going to do for these, we're going to select all 3, and we can add tracks to all 3 of them at once. We want to do render opacity for all of these. Okay. All right. So the idea behind this is they're going to kind of flash, you know, kind of like an arrow board, like on a truck when you're driving down the road in a construction zone, like kind of like that kind of flashy arrow a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to set these 2 to 0. And I'm going to set all of them to 0, to be honest. And then we're going to go to 25. And I'm going to have this one be 1. And then I'm going to add a keyframe for arrow number 2. And then I'm going to go another 25 points here. And I'm going to make this 1 now. Okay, so now that's fading in. And I'm going to go here. Oh, pardon me. I need to add 1 keyframe here for this now for 0. And then 1 more. And now this is going to be 1. And I'm going to also set a keyframe here for 0. And then I'm going to do the same thing every other frame here. Frame for 0 and frame for 0. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. And we're going to loop. We're going to go down here to where it says no looping. We're going to click that, and that's going to loop. And now we can click off and see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. All right, so we'll go back to animations. We'll click off of arrow flash. All right, so that's all we need to do here. The last animation we want to do is we want to have all of these kind of slide down. Okay, let's do slide animation. We'll call it anim. Essentially, we'll get rid of this. Level up these buttons, and that's it. So we'll go to animations. Okay, and we'll add the level up message. We will add the attack up button, the defense up, the speed up button, and we will add the health up button. I'm just going to move this up here. There we go. So it's all in the same order. Okay, for this one, we're going to select them all. We're going to do render opacity, and we're going to do transform as well. Okay, but we're not going to do scale for this one. We're going to do actual, like, the translation. Okay, so yeah, remember over here I said render transform. This isn't the first place you go. Yeah, this is more used for animations than anything. Okay, so let's go to, like, I don't know, 7.75. And we'll push enter, and that'll add keyframes for everything. And we're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to edit all these individually. Okay, so we'll start with the level up message. Let's open transform, open translation, and we're going to go on the Y, and we're just going to put it, you know, up, just maybe underneath. We'll kind of square it up right there. Okay, and then the render opacity, we're going to make 0 once we've done that. Okay, so that's level up message. Let's do the attack button now. We'll do the Y all the way up here. And we'll do the render opacity 0. And it's going to be the exact same for all of them. So I'm going to skip ahead so you guys can do that. All right, so we've completed all that. The last thing we want to do, so at the beginning of the video, I mentioned the hit testable stuff for the buttons. So if I click on this, the buttons are always going to be mostly visible because we're going to be interacting with those with our cursor. We're going to be looking for inputs. Okay, but we don't want our mouse cursor to be able to interact with these buttons while they're animating in this thing. So we didn't really see what that looks like at the end here, but they all slide in just like that. Okay. Looks super nice. So we don't want our mouse to be able to interact with these mid-transit because it might select a button randomly that we don't want it to. Okay, so we want to make sure that we don't have anything interacting with this button until it's done, its animation. So what we're going to do, we're going to select the 4 buttons, and we're going to add the visibility. Where are you? Visibility, right here. Okay. We're going to add a keyframe here, and we're going to open up each one of these. Oops, sorry, we're not going to add a keyframe there. We're going to undo that, pardon me. Okay, so this is visible. We want this to be not hit testable self and all children. And then we'll do that for all of them, but then you'll want to go to the next frame, and then you'll want to make this visible, and it should add a keyframe. So it's going to be not hit testable self and all children while it's in transit, and then once it lands then now it can accept mouse inputs. Okay, so I'll let you guys do that here for all of them. All right, so you should be all done that now. Okay, so our animations are all done. Our widget is completed in terms of the design portion. All the animations are done. Now we need to move over to do the actual graph stuff. Okay, so we're going to go over to graph. Okay, so if you look over on the graph here, you'll notice that we have a couple of variables here, and there's a couple things here that we don't actually need to be variables, and there's a couple things actually missing from here. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the designer. I'm going to show you guys this. Okay, anything over here that has bolded text just like this is a variable. So if I click on this, you'll see up here it says is variable. Okay, all the buttons by default are variables because obviously we need to, you know, code them to do stuff. Okay, but stuff like, you know, let's open this up here. What do we got in here? These arrows, those don't need to be variables. We're going to select those and we're going to uncheck is variable. Okay, old level and new level should be variables because we want to dynamically change what level we're going from to the level that we're going to be going to, right? So those should be variables. Anything that you're going to be actually changing the value of should be variables. Everything else should not be variables. It's just a cluttery mess that you don't need. Okay, so we're going to go to the graph now. This is slightly different than normal blueprints. Normal blueprints will have like an event begin play and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't exist in here. Instead, you have event construct and event pre-construct. Okay, so pre-construct will be called before the widget actually initializes. So if you need to put any essential data in or like lay out your widget or anything like that, you can put it on pre-construct. Event construct is called every single time you add the widget to viewport. Okay, and there's also one called event destruct, and that does the opposite of this. Okay, so this is called anytime we are removing the widget from parent. Okay, I'll show you what all that means in a second here. Okay, event tick, we're not going to use that. We're going to delete that. Okay, event tick, we generally don't want to use on widgets. You only want to call updates on widgets when you actually need them. For example, a health bar, you don't need to be checking every single frame when we're what kind of health we have. You only want to update the health bar if we're taking damage or gaining health, right? So we'll be doing that kind of stuff in here. All right, so we're going to work out of event construct first. Okay, when the this widget is created and constructed, we want to play our animations. Okay, our animations are in a separate little thing right here. Okay, so we want to do the fade. So we'll get fade. We're going to drag it here. We're going to play animation. Okay, the start time we're going to stay at 0. Number of loops, if you want that to be infinite, you're going to put 0. If you want it to play once, you're going to leave it at 1 or whatever the case may be. Play mode we're going to do as forward. All right, so we are playing our fade animation, so our thing fades in. We also want our arrow flash to start as well, so we'll play animation. Whoop. Okay, and then we also want to play our slide anim as well. Okay, play animation. There we go. So we got all those running. This arrow flash one we want to do infinitely, so we'll just set the number of loops to play to 0, and that will infinitely run it. Okay. Alrighty. So on event construct, we also want to do a couple of things in regards to the control that our player has. Okay. So first, we're going to get our player controller. Okay. This is going to control a couple of things. First thing we want to do is we want to set show mouse cursor, because we want the mouse cursor to actually appear so the player can do stuff. Okay. And then from there, we also want to set game mode to UI only. Sorry, set input mode, pardon me. Set input mode UI only. Okay. This is going to disable every control that you have in your game, except for your mouse and any controls in here that you tell it that are okay. All right. So this also needs a widget to focus on. We're going to drag it here and we're going to do self. Okay. That's not enough in order to make this work. We're going to hit compile. We're going to go back to the designer. We need to click on the Level Up widget here, and you'll notice right here under interaction, it says is focusable. Okay, we need to make sure that that's true. That means that this widget can be focused on when we're doing UI only. Okay, that's not checked. This is not going to work. Okay, so we're going to go back to our graph. After these are all done, If you want to pause the game, you can just drag out of here, pause game. Set game paused. Paused, true. Okay, that's it. All right, so with that all done, that'll do all that kind of stuff in the widget. In order to get all the buttons to work, we need to click on the buttons, and we need to scroll all the way down here to where it says events. And here's where all of your events are. We don't need to do anything for any of them except for on clicked. So we're gonna click on clicked. We won't have anything to actually attach to these buttons. Okay, out of here, this is, where you're gonna attach the logic. That's all you need to do. So, I'll just comment box this right here and just say add logic to attack up button. Okay, so that's what that's gonna do. But after we click on the button, we've done what we need to do. We can probably close our menu. So we're gonna create a new custom event. Close widget. Okay. On this, we're going to do essentially the opposite of all this stuff. So we're going to just copy this. Okay, and then we'll plug all that in right here, and we'll make sure to, oh yeah, show mouse cursor up here should be true, pardon me. True. And that should be false. The input mode is set input mode to game only. So we'll get control back to our player. We can delete the self, and we can unpause our game. Okay. After that, let's call the remove from parent. So this is what removes the widget from our player's screen. So it's no longer visible. Okay. And this will also call the event deconstruct or destruct here. Okay. So when we do call event destruct, we want to get our fade. And we want to play animation, but we want to play animation with finished event, okay? And the widget should be self. I don't think we need to target self. Okay, yeah, we need to select and do the self here. Okay. All right, so we're going to play this in reverse because we want to play the fade. The fade will be fading in, and then we want it to fade out by playing it in reverse. So, sorry, I actually made a mistake. We don't want the remove parent here. We want the remove parent here. Okay, we're going to play our animation, we're going to fade out, and then once this animation finishes playing, it's going to come out of here, and it's going to remove from parent. Okay, it's going to remove it from our player screen. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this bit. We are going to be making another thing here in our functions. So we're going to go to override on key down. We're going to select that. This is going to be an override for any of our keys that are pressed inside this widget, because remember, we switched it to UI only, so any of our inputs that we have, like input actions or anything like that, are not going to work, okay? So here's what you need to put in here. So in key event, we need to get key, okay? And then we need to do equals equals. And you can either select the key that you want to push, which in this case we are, or if you have the enhanced, what is it? The enhanced local player subsystem in our player controller. It's either this one or, and then we need to get player controller. Yeah, I think so. Get player controller. There we go. Okay, we're gonna get the enhanced player local subsystem. We're gonna query keys to mapped action. Okay, if you want multiple things to be queried, what you're gonna have to do is drag out of here, get a for each loop. Okay, and we're gonna check if any of these are equal to this, and then put a branch here. Okay, and then from here we need to get a copy. And then from here, we need to make array. Okay, so now you open here. Here's all of your controls. We're in just the default third person, so these are the only ones available. But if you've made one that's like open your inventory or open your items or escape or whatever, then you can select all of these, and it's going to check all of these. Hey, is this the key that was pushed? Okay, that's what this is doing. In key event, what's that key? Is that key equal any of these keys? And if it is, okay, cool. Then it's going to run out of true, and we're going to remove from parent, or we're going to call, sorry, the close widget event. Okay, and then we'll drag in here, And if that is not the case, or pardon me, and then after that, we're going to drag out a return value, and you need to get a struct called handled. Okay. If we come out of completed, that means that none of the keys that were pressed are the ones that we need. So we're going to do a return node, and we're going to drag out of here, and we're going to do unhandled. Okay. If it hits this completed node, that means that we've checked all the keys and nothing has come out as true. So now this is completed, and that's where the unhandled comes into play here. Okay. Okay. So this is pretty common. Make sure you you know, screenshot that or whatever you need to do in order to make keys work inside your menus. Okay. All right. So let's do one more thing inside our event graph here, and that we did a button that doesn't do anything, but let's do something that does do anything. We're gonna go exit, on clicked. And then on clicked, we're just gonna close widget. Okay, that'll run all this stuff, and then it'll deconstruct our widget, and that will close our widget. Okay, let's hit compile. We're nearly there. Okay, so we have all of our logic done inside our widget. Let's open up our HUD class now. Okay, what happened here? Open full. There we go. Okay, so we've opened our HUD class here. I like to create usually a function in the HUD class called widgets to spawn, and that's going to spawn all of your like widgets that are in your main HUD. Okay. And that way you can get everything set up, and then now you can run events based off of them. Okay. But for something like a level up widget, or you don't need that until you've actually physically leveled up. So what I do here is I create a bunch of events that I could call later from other blueprints that will run this specific event. Okay, so I'll just say level up. Okay, so for the level up here, what I do pretty much every single time I run these is, first of all, I'm going to right click and I'm going to create widget. Okay, the widget we want to create is the one we made, which is the widget blueprint level up. Okay, we're going to right click and promote this to a variable, and we're going to call this level up widget. Okay, and you can see that that is of type widget blueprint level up. Okay, I'm going to drag this over here, and I'm going to get level up widget, and then I'm going to right click and convert to validate get. Okay, I'm going to explain what this is doing here in a second. Okay, so this is going to come out of the is not valid branch. Okay, the next thing we're going to drag out of here, we're going to check is in viewport. This node will verify whether this widget is in the viewport or not. And if it's not, then we're going to want to add it back to viewport. If it is in viewport, we don't want to do anything because we don't want to do any more widgets, okay? Okay, so what this is doing, you only ever want to create one instance of a widget unless you mean to create more, like an inventory, for example. You're going to want to create multiple slots, right? But yeah, because what happens if you create a widget and add it to viewport and then remove it and then create a widget, it's going to continuously create multiple widgets, and that's going to create more space in your memory or use more memory in your project. So you don't want to do that. You only want to do this once, okay? So we're going to check, is this valid? If it's not valid, we're going to create the widget, we're going to set this variable, and then from now on, when you call level up, this is going to be valid, and it's going to run out of is valid. Okay, and then we're going to check, is this in viewport? We're going to drag out of this Boolean, and we're going to hold the string here and push B to get a branch. Okay, if it is in viewport, we're doing nothing. We're not going to do anything out of the true branch. Okay, out of the false branch, we are going to drag out of level up widget, and we're going to add to viewport. This will add it to the player screen. Okay. Let's drag out a false. While you're holding the string, you can push R to add a reroute node, and then you can drag right in there. Okay. That should be how you do every single widget that's not a part of your main HUD. All right, so I'm just going to quickly show you how you would do the rest of your widgets, since this is a beginner blueprint tutorial, so obviously you guys wouldn't know. What I do in functions, I create a new function, and I call it widgets to spawn. Okay. I get a sequence by holding S and clicking, and then I start spawning my widgets. Okay, so I'll show you exactly what I do here. So first, you're going to create widget. You're going to select whatever class, so whatever other widgets you made. Okay, I'm going to right click, promote that to a variable, and then here it is, and we'll just call it other widget for now. So this is, I'll put on screen what I have in this other project here, but yeah, basically, you will create the widget, you will create the variable to the widget, you will add it to the viewport. Okay, and this is where you could set the Z order that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so what order you want this to be on screen. And then I also drag out of the widget and then I set visibility. Okay, and that'll be the widget visibility. And I usually will set it, if it's a basic main HUD item, I will set this to not hit testable self and all children for the most part. Sometimes I create a widget, like I created one for the warning box that you see on screen there. That warning box I will have set as collapsed. And then I will set visibility as not hit testable self and all children when I'm actually showing the widget. And then once the widget is done and faded away, I will collapse it again because it's not on screen the entire time. Okay, that is basically the basis of every single widget that you create in this thing. So I will basically, I'll plug this in here. And then I will collapse this to a graph. So I'll collapse to nodes and then I'll say, you know, whatever this widget is, the other widget, we'll call it. You know, it'll actually be something legitimate when you're doing this for real. Now I can duplicate this, and you know, this is the other widget, right? Open this up. You would delete this, and then you'd make it like, you know, something else, and then promote this to a variable, the other widget. You'll plug this into add to viewport, and then you'll plug this into set visibility, and there you go. And now you've created another widget. Okay, so this is how you're going to build your main HUD. Again, I'll show on screen what I did in a previous project, just so you guys have an idea. And obviously, you know, I want you guys to start using this HUD class because it is absolutely imperative that you don't put it in your player because that causes a huge amount of dependencies. Okay, all right, so let's go back to the event graph here. That is basically how I do pretty much every widget in here. Now we need to actually call this event, and we need to do a couple of other things, okay? So we don't have any systems in this completely blank tutorial here, so we're gonna just, you know, make stuff up here. What we're gonna do is we need to grab our Level Up widget, and we need to get the old level and the new level. So those were variables that we set inside our widget here. These ones here, because we're going to change these dynamically, okay? So we'll do the HUD class. Pardon me, we'll do the old level here, and we're going to drag out of here, and we're going to set text. Just like that, okay? Okay, so then this is where you're going to get your level system, or whatever the case may be. We're going to set text for this one as well. Okay, and this is where you're gonna, yeah, like I said, get your level system, and then you're gonna get whatever level you were, or what level you're gonna be, and then it'll plug in here. So I'm just gonna make, you wouldn't do this in a normal game, but I'm just gonna make a random variable for us to play with here. Okay, so integer, we'll call this, you know, level. Okay, so you got your level system. You're gonna plug in your level. Let's make this level, let's compile it. Let's just make our level 2 here. So your new level is going to be 2. We're going to plug that in here, okay? And then for here, we'll do a minus node, and we'll minus it by 1. And we'll plug that in here. All right. Okay, but now we need something to actually call this event. So, you know, we'll do that. We'll just make we'll go into our player character here. Whoops, where are we go? Third person, blueprints, third person character. We'll just make a quick debug. Obviously, you know, you'll have something trigger this level up. Debug key A, sure, why not? Okay, so anywhere in your game you need to access your HUD, you're gonna get actor of class. That's gonna be the HUD class. And also good practice, once again, you know, either do this on event begin play, so you have you have your HUD in this blueprint. Or if you need to run it somewhere in your blueprint, you know, that you have already, you know, exact same thing. Get HUD, convert to validate get. Okay, and then if it's not valid, we're going to get our HUD, and if it is valid, we're going to do other stuff, which in this case is going to be level up. Okay, we're going to call that event we made, and if it is valid, we'll just do that. There we go. Okay. You know, sorry that this last bit's a little weird, but we just don't have any systems in this. I just wanted to show you guys how to do it from scratch, okay? So so we'll hit the debug key of A. It's going to check and see if this is valid, which it won't be, and then it's going to get our actor of class of HUD class. promote that to a variable, and then run the level up event, and that will add the thing to our screen. Okay, so let's hit compile. Let's test it out. Okay, we're going to hit play. We're playing our game, and we level up. Look at that. There's a level up. Okay, cool. We're going to, select attack up, and it's going to not do... Oh, yeah, because we have to do some stuff that I forgot here. But to close it out, we'll see if that works. See, that works, but it did not remove it from parent. That is interesting. Let's see what the hell's going on here. So let's go back to our level blueprint. Debugging stuff is totally normal. So, I'm glad this happened, so I can show you guys what I do to fix it here. Okay, so here's our widget. We're going to select in the debug option here, Level Up Widget, and we're going to go to the graph. I'm just going to put this over here and put this over here. And I'm going to hit this, and we're going to see what happens. So you can see it closes widget, but it doesn't run event deconstruct. Okay. Maybe the remove... Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I originally was right. My apologies. Remove from parent does need to go here. Let's flippity flip all these around. Okay. Let's remove from parent, and then we will unpause our game and do all this other stuff. Okay. That is why it wasn't working properly. And then while we're in here, let's just make this bigger. While we're in here, let's all the buttons. We'll just click on all those buttons. Defense up, on clicked. Health up, on clicked. And speed up, on clicked. Okay, so there's all of our actual buttons, that aren't doing anything because, we don't have any systems in this. Let's drag those into close widget as well. Okay, just for the sake of this, but yeah, you would add whatever logic you wanted in here, or you would trigger another event in some other blueprint in this particular instance. Okay, all right, let's retest this out here. So we'll hit play, playing our game. Today, we leveled up. We became more powerful. We're gonna increase our attack. There we go. Now we're back to playing our game. Kill some guys. Oh, we leveled up again. This obviously isn't changing because we don't have a level system. But we can make one here. Let's just make one and make sure it works. HUD class. Let's actually set our level back to 1. And then let's put our level... Again, you would not do this. In your real game, you would definitely, have a level system. Okay, but anyways, drag out of here, plus, just to make sure that it works. So this is going to add one and set it as the new default for level. Okay, we'll hit play. And we'll level up. Leveled up, super cool, and we'll level up again, and there you go. So that's all working. This works. Everything all works. Okay. Hopefully that gave you a really good idea of what to expect from widgets. And I shouldn't have put A as the debug key because I can't walk or strafe left now, but whatever. Anyways, yeah. So hopefully that gives you guys a really good understanding of widgets and how great they are and how actually easy it is to make widgets. But yeah, it does take a lot of practice to get good at just kind of like understanding where the widgets, like how the layouts work and all that kind of stuff. But you guys made it to the end of this video. I'm sure your thing looks really good. But if you did have any issues, definitely join my Discord. I have a help forum on there that you guys could just post what your issue is in what video, and then I can help you out, or the other community members can help you out because they are knowledgeable in Unreal Engine as well. But anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I would like a like and subscribe just to make sure that we are supporting the channel. I'm glad you made it all the way to the end. And if you guys want to take your UI skills to the next level, you guys can watch my UI tutorial series. Basically, you create an inventory system from scratch and all the UI that would go with it. It was the first series I did here on YouTube, so it's a little older stuff, but still really good stuff to learn there. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll put it up on the screen here. But otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.